You didn't find this by accident. Something in you is searching quietly, maybe even desperately, for a sign that you're not lost, for a voice that says, keep going. Life has a way of pulling us into places that feel too heavy, too silent, too confusing. You've tried to stay strong, to hold it together, but inside there's a storm no one sees. Maybe you've been questioning your worth, your direction, or whether things will ever get better. And just when you felt like giving up, this showed up. That matters. Because what if this isn't just another video? What if it's the reminder you didn't know you needed? The kind that reaches deep, past the noise, into the place where your hope has been waiting. You don't need more noise. You need truth. Something honest. Something real. What you'll hear in the next few minutes won't fix everything, but it will help you see differently, feel differently, move forward with just enough courage to keep going. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're being called into something deeper. Stay with me, because this found you now for a reason. And before it ends, that reason will be clear. Some moments feel too sharp to explain. It's the ache that follows silence after bad news, the heaviness that lingers long after a smile fades. There are days when nothing makes sense, and everything feels like too much. In those moments, it's not answers we crave. It's a sign, something small, something unexpected, a word that somehow knows where the wound is. These moments aren't loud. They don't force themselves in. They arrive quietly, like this one, a voice on a screen, a sentence that stops you in your tracks, a phrase that feels written just for you. And suddenly, it's not about where you thought you'd be. It's about what you just heard, because somehow it hit the part of you that's been holding on with tired hands. Messages like that don't show up when life is perfect. They come when you're stretched thin, when your heart is a little cracked open. That's the power of timing. A random post, a friend's words, a song, or a quiet video with no face, but a voice that sees you. These are the messages that don't just speak. They reach, not because they're loud, but because they arrive when silence has become too heavy to carry alone. When life reaches a crossroads, it doesn't always ask for answers. Sometimes all it needs is the right question, the kind that makes you pause and look inward. That spark of realization, that breath you didn't know you were holding. This video isn't about fixing everything. It's about reminding you that something out there still sees you, even in the middle of confusion, even in the doubt, especially in the doubt. Not everything has to make sense right away, but when something finds you at just the right time, it's no longer just coincidence. It's a lifeline. And maybe that's what this is. Not just words, but a timely message meant to meet you where you are. Strength doesn't always feel strong. It often feels like showing up when nothing in you wants to. Like opening your eyes in the morning when the weight in your chest tells you to stay down. It's easy to forget what you've walked through when all you see are today's problems. But look closely. Look at the days that tried to break you, and notice you're still here, breathing, living, maybe even healing in ways no one else can see. That alone says more than any loud victory ever could. There were moments that pulled you to the edge, moments no one clapped for, no audience, no applause, just quiet courage, the kind that holds things together with shaking hands. That is power, that is strength, not in the way the world defines it, not in always knowing what to do, not in pretending to be okay, but in rising, again and again, even with the scars still visible. Every setback you thought would finish you only revealed more of what you're made of. Pain didn't win. Confusion didn't win. You did. Not because you had all the answers, but because you didn't let go. Even if you stumbled, even if you cried, even if you paused for a while, you kept moving. That's the kind of strength that transforms people. Quiet, steady, real. No need to prove anything. Just trace the path you've already walked. Notice how many times things felt impossible, and then shifted. You're not weak for needing rest. You're not failing because you feel tired. Strength isn't loud or proud. It's quiet, resilient. It's saying, I'll try again, even when no one is watching. And if that's all you can offer right now, that's more than enough. Because that's what got you here, and it's what will carry you further. So much of life is spent in places that don't exist anymore. Minds drift to the past, trying to change what can't be touched, or race into the future, trying to fix what hasn't even arrived. But all of life, real life, only ever happens in this moment. Not in what could have been, not in what might be, just here, just now. And that's where peace begins. Not by controlling everything, but by being fully awake to what is already in front of us. Right now, breath moves in and out. A heartbeat continues without asking for permission. Even in stillness, life is unfolding. Growth doesn't always show. Sometimes it's silent, taking root deep below the surface. The present isn't empty. It holds chances to see differently, to choose again, to soften instead of shut down. No matter what came before, or what waits ahead, there is always something real to notice right here. A moment to pause, a chance to be kind, a breath to return to. Not everything needs to be figured out today. Sometimes just noticing this very second is enough. There's clarity in the present, a stillness that doesn't need noise or answers. When the mind slows down, the heart can finally speak, not with pressure, but with presence. That's where healing begins. Not when the whole path is clear, but when the feet feel steady enough to take just one honest step. This moment is more than a space between yesterday and tomorrow. It's the only place where change is possible. Growth lives here. Hope lives here. No need to rush it. Just be here. Even if the moment feels messy or uncertain, it's still a gift. One breath, one thought, one choice at a time. And in those quiet spaces, something sacred unfolds. Not loud, not perfect, but deeply real. Growth doesn't happen all at once. It unfolds slowly, through questions that don't always have answers, through moments of stillness, through mistakes that reveal more than success ever could. Discovering who you are isn't a task to finish. It's a path to walk, one step, one choice, one lesson at a time. And sometimes it's the wrong turns that show the deepest truths, the moments of doubt that lead to honesty, the silence that helps you hear what really matters. There's no perfect timeline for becoming, no clear map that leads to peace. But even without certainty, there's something beautiful in the seeking, the willingness to keep going, even without a clear view, to ask deeper questions, to pause and look inward, even when it feels uncomfortable. That kind of courage often goes unnoticed, but it matters. It shapes the soul in quiet, lasting ways. It's okay not to have it all figured out. Growth doesn't need you to be sure. It only asks that you stay open, to feel what's real, to admit when it hurts, to start again when things fall apart. Every person walking this earth is still learning, still becoming, still finding new parts of who they are. Some truths take time to surface, some clarity only comes after chaos. And that's not weakness. It's the rhythm of growth. What looks like wandering is often deeper alignment. What feels like being lost is sometimes the first sign of waking up. Even questions that seem unanswerable have value, because they move something inside. They stir the soul. They invite change. There's nothing small about searching for what's true. That is sacred work. That is strength in its quietest and most honest form. The journey of self-discovery doesn't demand perfection. It only asks for presence and the willingness to keep going, even when the path isn't clear. Some pain stays longer than it should. It hides in quiet moments, echoing in thoughts no one else hears. The mind replays the same scenes again and again, hoping maybe this time the ending will change. But it never does. What's done is done. Still the weight lingers, not just from what happened, but from the way it's carried. Regret grows heavy over time, not because the past keeps hurting, but because the heart hasn't been allowed to let go. Forgiveness doesn't always begin with someone else. Sometimes it starts in the mirror. It begins with looking at the version of you who made the wrong call, the one who didn't know better, the one who tried, failed, and still kept going. That version needs grace, needs love, not judgment, not punishment, just the freedom to release what's already gone. Growth can't happen in a prison of shame. Healing only moves where mercy leads. What others did, what you allowed, what you missed, none of it defines who you are now. The story didn't end there. Holding on doesn't protect. It only delays peace. It's not weakness. To release old pain, it's wisdom, it's strength. Carrying things that no longer serve only slows the steps forward. There's power in opening the hands, loosening the grip, and saying, I don't need this anymore. Freedom isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, a deep breath, a weight lifted, a night of rest, without the past knocking at the door. The past happened, but it doesn't get to decide everything. Every day offers a new choice, a chance to stop bleeding from wounds that are no longer open. What's behind may have shaped the path, but it doesn't have to own the next step. That step belongs to now, and now has room for peace. Hope isn't about ignoring what's hard. It's about believing that what's ahead can still be good. Even after everything that's been broken, it doesn't need proof. It doesn't wait for guarantee. It just keeps showing up again and again, like light through a cracked door. Even when things feel stuck, even when the road seems unclear, something inside whispers, this isn't the end. And that voice matters, because it means there's still a spark alive, still something worth reaching for. Hope doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't need big declarations or grand plans. Sometimes it's as small as getting out of bed, as quiet as choosing to try again. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about knowing that things can grow, even in messy soil. The future may be uncertain, but so is possibility, so is healing, so is joy that hasn't arrived yet, but is on its way. Some days will feel heavier than others. That's okay. Hope doesn't cancel out pain. It walks with it. It says, even here there's more. And that kind of hope changes everything, because it shifts the focus from what's missing to what could be. It moves the heart from fear to curiosity, from despair to courage, from silence to small beginnings. Every sunrise offers something new, another chance to show up, to choose again, to believe in what hasn't yet unfolded. Even if yesterday felt like failure, today begins clean. No past mistake has the power to steal what's still possible. No closed door can erase the doors that haven't opened yet. Hope is quiet strength. It is faith in movement, not because the path is easy, but because something in you still believes the path is worth it. That belief doesn't have to be big, just true, just enough to keep going. And that is more than enough. No one hears the voice in your head more than you do. And sometimes that voice becomes the harshest critic. It picks at every mistake. It rewrites moments to make them feel worse. It tells stories that sound like truth, but are really just old pain playing on repeat. That kind of self-talk doesn't heal. It drains the spirit and clouds what's real. But there is another way to speak to yourself, one that builds rather than breaks. Kindness starts from within, not just for others, but for the one carrying the weight. The voice inside can be soft. It can say, I did my best. It can say, I'm still learning. It can say, I'm allowed to rest. Those aren't excuses. They're mercy. And mercy isn't weakness. It's wisdom. Harshness never made anyone grow faster, but compassion, that opens the heart, that brings life back to tired places. Mistakes don't make someone unworthy. Doubt doesn't make someone broken. The journey is filled with highs and lows, and no one walks it perfectly. Speaking kindly to the self doesn't mean lowering standards. It means creating space to heal, to grow, and to keep going without fear of self-punishment. When the inner voice becomes gentle, everything shifts. Confidence starts to return. Fear begins to ease. The path forward feels possible. Being a friend to yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. There's strength in choosing grace. There's power in choosing to encourage rather than tear down. Growth needs support, and that support starts from within. That voice inside has the power to shape how life feels. It can either echo pain or build peace. Speak life, even if the voice is shaky. Truth, even if it takes effort. That shift, quiet as it may seem, changes everything.
Because when someone learns to be kind to themselves, they begin to move different, lighter, freer, more whole. Waiting for the perfect moment can quietly become another way to stay stuck. There's always one more reason to pause, one more doubt, one more voice whispering that it's not time yet. But progress doesn't wait for permission. It begins in quiet choices, small steps that may seem insignificant, but carry real weight. One decision to show up, one act of courage, one honest word. These are the building blocks of change. Even when they don't feel dramatic, forward is forward. Even if it's slow, even if the pace doesn't match what others expect. There is no single way to grow, no universal timeline to meet. The only thing that matters is motion. However gentle, however simple, pausing doesn't mean failing, slowing down doesn't mean losing. Every step, no matter how small, is part of the shift, and in that motion, even the smallest intention can create momentum. Some days the step forward looks like action, other days it looks like rest. Both matter, both are movement. When chosen with purpose, starting again doesn't need a big gesture. It needs honesty, a quiet, steady voice that says, I want more than what's behind me. That alone can spark a beginning. That alone can carry someone through the next hour, the next day, the next chapter. Direction matters more than speed. Intention shapes the journey. Even if the future still feels uncertain, movement creates clarity. Growth reveals itself, not in the leaps, but in the choice to not give up, in the willingness to stand, even if it's shaky, in the decision to hope, even if it hurts. The next step doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be real. One breath, one choice, one honest move. And in that motion, something begins to shift, something wakes up, something opens. That's how change starts. Not all at once, but right here, with one step. Some messages don't need to be loud to be life-changing. They arrive softly, but they reach, not because every problem has been solved, but because something inside feels seen, maybe for the first time in a long while. No map was offered here, no quick fixes, just truth, quiet reminders that what you carry matters, and that you're not walking this road alone. Even now, after all the wait, after all the silence, there's still more ahead, and it's not too late to meet it. Healing isn't always about answers. Sometimes it's about finding space to breathe again, to feel safe in your own mind, to know you're allowed to start where you are, without shame. That's the shift that begins everything. When pressure gives way to presence, when fear makes room for courage, when what once felt impossible starts to feel like maybe, just maybe, it's within reach, and that matters. It means there's something still alive in you, something still moving, still willing, still open. If these words met you in a place you couldn't explain, that's not by accident. Something in you knew what was needed, something in you listened. That choice to press play, to stay with it, to stay with yourself, that's strength, that's healing in real time. And even if nothing around you changes today, something within has started to. There is still a path forward, still hope rising, even in quiet ways, still space for peace to grow. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're become. Every breath, every thought, every step forward, no matter how small, is sacred. Keep going, stay gentle, and when doubt creeps in, come back to this space. These words will still be here, waiting to remind you that you're worth the journey. If this message spoke to something inside you, take a moment to like this video, and if you'd like to hear more words like these, subscribe to the channel. We're walking this path with you, one quiet step at a time.